What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy, the Hater, and it's time for early WrestleMania predictions. You know what I'm saying? Now, we're not going to bore ourselves and try to predict what's going to happen within the context of night one or night two, because that's completely random, right? There's no charm in being part of night one or part of night two, right? Again, the only match that matters is the main event of night two, and everything else is equal. You know, first match of night one, first match of night two, third match of night two, main event of night one. All this shit is kind of the same, you know what I mean? None of that shit matters at all, cuckwads. But we're not going to worry about that. We're going to worry just about the actual, booking decisions that I believe will be made, and in some cases should be made. But quite frankly, I don't really care about most of this because none of these matches are compelling, right? And I'm going to give a reason behind all of it, right? So first off, clearly there's going to be some sort of Roman Reigns CM Punk situation that needs to come to light, right? Because of the favor that Paul Heyman owes them. Now, this is what it is. I don't think anybody gives a flying rat's ass about any of this, but nevertheless, that needs to resolve itself. However, now we have Seth Rollins up in this mug, right? And Seth Rollins is there, and basically what he's doing is he's attacking Roman Reigns, and that seems to be the next step, right? Obviously, they need to resolve this too. And then, a lot of people didn't notice this, of course, but when CM Punk was burying Kevin Owens on the mic, he said, "You lost to Logan Paul." And this might be enough reason for Logan Paul to say, "Go fuck yourself," right? In addition, they've also been kind of feuding, if you will. Logan Paul eliminated him from the Rumble. They're both going to be in the chamber almost certainly. So I could see Logan Paul eliminating CM Punk and that being the CM Punk story, right? So as a result of that, I'm calling it now. It seems that it's going to be Logan Paul versus CM Cuck, right? That is exactly what I want. Now, I don't want this because I want CM Punk to even be at WrestleMania. I'm just afraid that there's still a good possibility that CM Punk might win the chamber match. You know what I mean? Even though I don't think he's ever won one or won anything of meaning ever, really. CM Punk, the only thing he's done is he's been world champion a few times. Which of course matters, but that's it. A lot of people have been world champion, and they're not WrestleMania main event worthy. Some of them are even legendary wrestlers like Booker T. You know what I mean? He never main evented WrestleMania and he won the world championship 6 times, cucks. But anyways, that's the match that should happen. Logan Paul has no equal anymore, right? It's really that simple. Logan Paul basically is too big of a deal to wrestle someone like The Miz or, quite frankly, even Rey Mysterio at this point, right? Logan Paul needs to be, he's not in the midcard anymore, basically. Logan Paul is now in the upper midcard of the current landscape of WWE, right? And that's how that is. So Logan Paul is going to go out there and he's going to wrestle someone of that caliber. Basically, the only people that are acceptable opponents for Logan Paul at this stage of his push, right, are Randy Orton, CM Punk, or someone above them, right? Like a Cody Rhodes. You know what I mean? You're not going to see Logan Paul versus, Chad Gable. That's not going to happen anymore. Logan Paul has now been elevated to a different standard in this card, in this company. So I think Logan Paul versus CM Punk makes sense for both. It's a high-profile match. CM Punk can be proud of that match. It could actually be an excellent match because I feel like they have very comparable styles, Obviously, Logan Paul is 50 times the athlete that CM Punk is. Logan Paul would beat him in literally every single sport. Logan Paul is a better pro wrestler than CM Punk. He's better in every way. I've never seen such a discrepancy, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, Logan Paul and CM Punk can have a good match, and the fans can be happy knowing that CM Punk is probably going to win that match and beat Logan Paul silly, right? Now, if they want to make this match worthwhile, which is something that they don't do as much in WrestleMania anymore, is they could just make it a number one contenders match. Simple as that. Maybe these are the last 2 guys in the Elimination Chamber, right? Maybe CM Punk is about to eliminate Logan Paul. Cena somehow gets involved. Logan Paul punches him in the face with his, with brass knucks or something to make it even more extra. Pins him. Cena pins Logan Paul, and that's the end of that, right? That would be a good way to put this match together, So I think that match has a lot of potential, you know. Then we have Cody Rhodes. Now, one possibility, of course, obviously, is Cody Rhodes just wrestles John Cena at WrestleMania, right? This is the hardest one to pick. In my personal opinion, it would be better if Cody Rhodes unceremoniously loses the title at this point on a random-ass episode of SmackDown or Raw. I don't tell you. You know what I mean? Or, hopefully, Cody Rhodes just has a match at the Chamber. I could just see him skipping it altogether. But that's unacceptable, you know? And basically, we need to just get Randy Orton versus John Cena, right? That match needs to happen one more time. Randy Orton is still around, but there's not enough time to make this match happen because a lot would need to happen. First of all, Randy Orton would need to absolutely come back as a monster, and he would need to destroy Kevin Owens, likely punting him in the head. You know what I mean? That needs to happen before he can do anything else, because Kevin Owens put him out. He needs to pretty much finish the burial of Kevin Owens and leave it at that, right? But that might be a little bit difficult to do. Now, with that being said, we have, obviously, that's the best scenario. Randy Orton beats fucking, what's it called? Cucky Rhodes, right? He can betray him and beat him at the Chamber, whatever. Do a quick storyline. Nobody really gives a shit about this match anyways, right? Like, John Cena's back, motherfuckers. We don't have to pretend that we care about, the Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes match. So then you have Orton versus Cena as the WrestleMania main event. I could be wrong, but I don't think they've ever main evented at WrestleMania together, right? They've had, championship matches at WrestleMania, but once again, not a legit Night 2 main event. They both deserve it. And quite frankly, if Cena loses that match, it wouldn't be the end of the world, right? Like, if Randy Orton wins the feud, he gets the last win over Cena, that wouldn't be the end of the world, right? But anyways, that needs to be the title match. Then you can have Cookie Rhodes versus whoever the fuck they decide to put him against, right? I mean, obviously, this booking, is premised on the possibility that Cody Rhodes is not champion, right? Obviously, if Cody Rhodes is champion, it's going to be him versus Cena most likely. But that's just think about how much lesser of a match that is when compared to Cena versus Orton, which would actually be a big deal, But whatever. Then we've got the World Heavyweight Championship. I personally am completely content with main event Jey Uso versus Gunther. This is a match that could easily happen on Raw, right, for the world title. But in my opinion, this is a match that should happen on Raw for the Intercontinental title. And that's exactly what should happen. But Jey Uso won the Rumble, and Gunther is the make-believe champion. So the match gets elevated a little bit, but not by much. You know what I mean? This is a perfectly reasonable WrestleMania match. Again, it should be for the world title, but once again, I don't recognize this as a world title. I don't recognize Gunther as a legitimate champion. So that needs to happen. Obviously, we have Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. That's going to happen. The only way to make this match even borderline interesting would be to make it a Hell in a Cell or, something where someone needs to basically die. It's as simple as that. Someone needs to be thrown off 3 cages. Because these are the 2 most boring wrestlers maybe of all time. They're complete garbage. I don't give a fuck about this match. I'm not even joking. When this match comes on, I'm going to take a shit or a piss or I'm going to be on my phone. I am not watching this match. I am not watching Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. I have no interest in it, right? I don't care who wins. I don't care who loses. And nobody else does either. You know what I mean? Think about it. Sami Zayn beats Kevin Owens. Wow, he did it once again. And then Sami Zayn can have another shit year of achieving absolutely nothing like he did this year. But anyways, complete plateau of a year here. Now we've got to talk about some of the other titles. Braun Breaker, right? Is Braun Breaker going to stay the champion? I guess he is, right? The correct move for a Braun Breaker match would be a multi-man match, right? You can have, let's say you have Sheamus, because Sheamus needs to come out on top. Braun Breaker, Ludwig Kaiser, and Chad Gable. That would be a decent 4-way, make it an elimination match. So Sheamus can decisively win. That'd be nice, right? Then we've got, if Cody Rhodes doesn't win, Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre in a meaningless throwaway match makes sense, right? They can have a feud. You can have the same gravitas as Drew versus CM Punk, but let's be real. That's what needs to happen, right? Or, of course, if Cody Rhodes loses, you could also just do, Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul. But do you see a trend here? The trend here is, there's a clear A side and a clear B side. The only A sides that we have are John Cena and Logan Paul. Because nobody gives a fuck if CM Punk wrestles. He didn't even wrestle at the last WrestleMania, and people loved it, apparently, right? Like, who gives a shit? It can be him versus Seth Rollins again. Nobody cares. You know, like CM Punk has had a meaningless year. He's just won a feud over a bracelet. You know what I mean? But whatever. It's not here or there. Then, you know, we've already established Rollins versus what's his face versus Roman Reigns. So we got to talk about the U.S. title. The U.S. title, in my opinion, needs to involve some fresh faces. You know, Nakamura needs to, of course, drop it. Right? There's obviously a chance this match won't even be on the card because it's Nakamura we're talking about, right? Nakamura doesn't wrestle. Nakamura, I think basically he can't wrestle anymore. Like, this guy is just like, he looks like he has trouble moving. But anyways, neither here nor there. Nakamura, obviously LA Knight needs to be involved either in this or in a high-profile match, right? I would be okay with LA Knight, for example, versus Solo Sikoa, or LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu, or LA Knight and somebody else versus them, right? To have that be like, kind of like the match that Lashley and, you know, Street Profits had last year, but have it be meaningful. You know what I mean? LA Knight, in my opinion, the best way to book LA Knight would be him versus Solo Sikoa, or him and, like, I don't give a fuck, him and, let's say, like, Motor City Machine Guns. Who cares, right? Him and Motor City Machine Guns versus, like, or him and two other guys, basically, is what I'm saying, versus, like, the Bloodline, which is, you know, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Solo Sikoa, and LA Knight just wins decisively. He just destroys all three of them and he wins. He obviously has a much bigger ceiling than the entire Bloodline combined, and anybody who's not retarded knows that, you know. So that's the way that I would book that. Doesn't really matter. The tag team titles, I could give a flying fuck about. You know, there's a lot of people, in my opinion, that in this year have fallen down. Their stock has dropped to near zero. You know what I mean? You've got people like, you know, like Dominic Mysterio, right? Like, this has been a down year for him, you know? You have fucking Finn Balor, right? That we're not even going to talk about Carlito and JD McDonough, who, like, basically, the fact that they have jobs should just shock everybody. You know, there's a lot of people that are like that, I feel like, on that spot on the card. Even someone like Damian Priest, it's like, what is he going to do, you know? You could shuffle him in there, like him versus Drew McIntyre, meaningless match number 15. You know what I mean? But who cares? Nobody wants to see that shit. You know, maybe you could put him in the United States Championship match or the Intercontinental Championship match, but nobody gives a shit. Like, nobody is, like, looking forward to what Damian Priest is going to do at WrestleMania. Like, nobody cares, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So, with all that being said, that's kind of like my preliminary booking, and let's do some women's matches. Obviously, Charlotte won the Rumble. I don't see a scenario except for Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. This is the match that happened 2 years ago. People were in love with this match. To be honest, I fast-forwarded about half of it. I could give a flying fuck. You know? But people love the match. The match needs to happen. The alternative is Charlotte versus who? Versus Nia Jax? That's not going to be as interesting, I feel like. Some people are saying Charlotte versus Bianca Belair. It's like they're completely oblivious to the fact that Bianca Belair has had one of the worst years in WWE history. It's like, do these people even watch wrestling at this point? You know, it's like they're like, Drew McIntyre and Bianca Belair should have won the Rumbles. It's like, Drew McIntyre has lost everything he's been in this year. Like, he's lost everything, motherfuckers. He's basically a mid-card nobody. Like, if WWE 2025, 2K25 comes out, like, and we're being honest, Drew McIntyre should be like a 73. He's lost every match, right? Bianca Belair has lost every single singles match, basically, she's ever had. She has been completely on the sideline, on the back burner, being basically groomed for her jobber run. Don't you people see how this is going? Bianca Belair's future is not going to be, I'm going to wrestle Charlotte. Bianca Belair's future is going to be, I'm going to be the next Natalia, motherfucks. Like, it's going to take a few years, but that's where she's headed, because she's, like, in her mid-30s. You know? Bianca Belair was never going to be this, like, equivalent to Charlotte. No, there is only one Charlotte in the eyes of WWE. Everybody else is not an equivalent. They're an inferior. Like, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch even, Asuka. These are, like, you come around, you might win the Rumble one year when we have nothing else to do, but Charlotte is the real star, you know? So, Bianca Belair needs to go wrestle Naomi or Jade Cargill, right? Simple as that needs to happen. Something needs to, I thought it was going to be for the title because I thought Jade Cargill was going to win, but it could be like Jade Cargill and, I don't know, Jordan Grace, for all I give a fuck, against, like, Naomi and Bianca Belair for the tag team titles, you know? I don't care. That needs to happen once they find out something, right? So, that's where those girls are going to be, in my opinion, you know what I mean? Like, the women's Intercontinental and the women's U.S. title, I don't see them being on the card at all. Those things have pre-show written all over it, or maybe like the SmackDown before the WrestleMania, right? So I don't give a flying fuck about that. But, you know, the Intercontinental title, the U.S. title, all that other shit, all that stuff is meaningful, you know what I mean? So, there you have it, Cooks. That's going to be like, I will leave it at this for now. And then we'll do this again next week when there's some more information, cuckolds. And we'll do the same thing for NXT and yada, yada, yada. Cuckwads. Now take care of yourselves and go fuck your mothers.